All right, welcome back. A week after the draft, there's still a lot to talk about. Now we know the draft is done. You see the rosters nearly complete. There's a lot of speculation about the AFC in particular. So, Chris Adamski, I'm going to start with you on this one, and that would be the Steelers. Specifically, let's go quarterback, because CBS Sports.com came out with a ranking, and they have Kenny Pickett ranked 28th.
Oh.
And they have the 3 guys chosen in the first round this year ahead of him already, including Anthony Richardson.
Don't tell Filipponi that, my God.
But it seems to me like that's kind of irresponsible. What does it seem like to you?
Yeah, listen, I don't think 28. I think as a greater picture, and we know that somebody has rankings and power rankings and whatever, you can defend them and you can say the rookies and all that. But I think you look at it from a bigger picture, though, the Steelers kind of conundrum, right? I don't think a rational person can't say that he's not the 4th best quarterback in the division right now, in the 4-team division.
Sure.
And that's going to be the problem that the Steelers are going to run into for maybe a day. Kenny Pickett could be really good and still be the 3rd or 4th best, not be even sniff the best quarterback in his division for a long time to come, which means the Steelers for the next decade, even if Pickett is better than expected or is, a star Pro Bowl level quarterback, they still might have a gap here in the most important position every time they play the Bengals for the next 15 years.
I know he finished strong, and I know that he was good at the tail end of last season, but I don't know how any reasonable person goes into this season and doesn't say, well, Kenny Pickett has a lot more left to prove than he's already proven from the rookie season. The body of work is far from complete. I far from really know anything
But
about
it's similar
him.
to a lot of franchise
Correct.
quarterbacks who've had similar first-year
Correct.
numbers and then blossomed quickly.
Right. Or went in the tank.
But a lot of them gone the other way. Yeah, it's very much up in the air. You're right.
I feel like I look at this, Pomp, and I don't really know what Kenny Pickett or the Steelers' offense is at this point. I would like to think it's a balanced offense that can be like top half of the league in terms of generating points and yards. I love the first-round pick. I think we're going to get into that.
Yeah, we are.
But, establishing Najee is so big for Pickett. Like, I like the Allen Robinson pickup. Their wide receivers, in my opinion, weren't nearly as productive as they should have been last season. You saw them kind of catch fire late, but I don't know if I have a complete picture of what Kenny is.
Well, here's the thing. You don't, and maybe nobody does, but now there are no more excuses. There's no more excuses for Matt Canada. There's no more excuses for Kenny Pickett. You have 3 tight ends, right? You have a left tackle that's supposedly one of the best left tackles in the draft, and it looks like he is. You have a wide receiver core, and you have George Pickens, who should be one of the better wide receivers in the division, and you have a veteran wide receiver that you brought in Allen Robinson. You have a first-round running back. People say, don't take first-round running backs. The Steelers did. You have a first-round running back, and you have a coordinator that can't use the excuse, well, it's all still new to me. No, it's not. Now you've worked for a year with this quarterback. There's no more excuses for anybody, so now we find out.
Who's under more pressure, Pickett or Najee Harris? Considering that everything that was built here was built for a run game, it looks to me, right? They've mauled out on their offensive line.
And that's kind of the point you said, finding this identity of this offense. I was, it kind of got under the radar a little bit. Matt Canada said a couple times, like, we know this is what we're trying to establish. This is the identity we want. He was pretty straightforward. I kind of like, he peaked, especially think in this modern NFL, everybody wants to throw the ball, whatever. And when they take the best blocking tight end in the draft, and you take a tackle, of course, that you took in Najee Harris 2 years ago. They've been pretty, and kind of the interior line. You hear Andy Weidel, the way he talked the other day. I mean, he used some language talking about, punishing people, that type of identity. This is what the Steelers, they want to be, which we could sit here and debate. That'd be a whole other show, maybe, whether that's the right thing to do in 2023 in the NFL. Right. But that's what they're going to do. And, they won 7 of their last 9 games last season doing kind of that. If you have the defense to do it, and I think maybe you're zigging while the rest of the league's zagging. I don't know. But you still got Cleveland and Baltimore in your division.
It seems they definitely want to turn this into Bill Cowher's Steelers. They want to try to win football games like that.
Great.
No, you're right.
It would help.
Because we didn't see any picture of that last season. Yeah. And, I mean, the other thing with Pickett, that's not going to lead to lucrative numbers. And that's okay. Like, if you're turning and handing it to Najee Harris and you're actually running the ball productively, fine. You're not asking Kenny Pickett to win a game right away. You're asking him not to lose it. So we started with him being ranked 20 or whatever. I'm not looking at Kenny Pickett as somebody who's going to be a top 5 quarterback right now because they don't need him to be in this.
All right, let's talk about the number 1 draft pick. Comes in, Broderick Jones is here. He's reputed to be the best, arguably, in this draft, which means a lot of people would immediately say he should start. Immediately forget the fact he has no experience. However, Mike Tomlin normally doesn't play that game. He will play I'm going to split him up on my depth chart. Dan Moore's the guy who's there. He'll be first, followed by Broderick Jones. Should it be a competition, Colin?
No. And I don't want Broderick Jones to take one snap next to some scrub guard from Kutztown that's just some extra guy from camp either. Get him in there. He should run with the ones. He should run with the ones every single snap. There shouldn't be one wasted snap. If Dan Moore Jr. doesn't like it, then play better in the opportunities that he has. This guy is taken to be a generational tackle, a guy that's here for a decade or more. Let him believe that the day he gets off the airplane, the day he walks in the door.
It's a fascinating situation because you have all 5 returning starters coming back, and then they go out in free agency, signed 3 offensive linemen, drafted 1 in the first round, drafted another 1. So it's almost as if the entire line they almost want to replace in some ways.
And they were actually good at parts too. Like they didn't need a complete
I didn't think
revamp.
I was sort of the camp, but I'm probably more of a Dan Moore fan than a lot of people. But obviously the writing's on the wall at this point, right? I mean, we'll see.
Yeah,
what
but
happens.
who should be the starter
but
going
the first
into
day,
camp?
other than Marquise Pouncey, that was the one time. The last time they took wasn't the last time. The second to last time they took a healthy offensive lineman as a rookie in the first round. He was there that first day of camp. So that'll play out. I don't think the first day of OTAs in a couple weeks here, maybe not in mini camp, but I wouldn't be shocked if he's doing it by Latrobe when we get there in the
He's
first.
dancing around your question, Pomp. You see this? He's not answering.
I said.
Well, I think it's okay.
Broderick Jones has to
If I
start.
ran the
Come
world,
on.
if I coached this
Come
game-
on.
It's okay to
How about if he
question
turns into this year's Devin Bush? How do you know? I mean,
What if he
I don't know, but I want to find out. I want to see. I completely agree with Colin. I'm glad he didn't take a shot like the scrub guard from Westminster or something. We can put it on Kutztown. But no, he should run with the ones the entire time. I want to find out what the kid is.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, I'm okay to question the processes of an organization. We forget about this too much. Like, why can't I question the processes of an organization that's won 3 playoff games in 13 years? Maybe the way they've been doing things isn't right because it's not yielded results that are positive.
I just think it's more than Broderick Jones. I want to see Sayamalu where he starts, if he starts. I assume he's going to be a starter. So I mean that's thoughts, and that's probably an easy one. But you have Nate Herbig. I'm getting my Herbig's confused from now until eternity. I'm sure Nate Herbig's where he's going to start. Is he not going to start right away? I don't know. There's a lot. And then just Chooks. Does Dan Moore maybe go to right tackle? Probably not. But
Just start 8 people on the line.
That's
it. Nobody will know
their plan.
Just play
They
8.
are going to be deeper than they were last year, and that's
Darnell
big
Washington's
because they have no injuries, and you can expect that injuries will reoccur, no doubt about it. We're going to talk about the rest of the AFC North when we come back. Don't go away. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Lamar Jackson signed, sealed, and delivered. What does it mean?